Good day, fellow learners. Once again, I'm your mentor Rega, who's joining you for the part 2 on our discussion of the concept, the business plan, the hows and whys of it. So for this lesson and teaching and learning engagement, we'll be talking about one important aspect of planning for a business. And this needs to be spelled out even before you decide to write your business plan. And what better way to do it than, of course, learn from life lessons, okay? So let's learn from my life lesson today and how do we apply whatever learnings I have in terms of identifying the business model that would fit something that's popping out of your mind. What business model would fit the idea that you have in terms of the kind of business that you would want to come up with. Okay, so today we'll be talking about understanding your business model. And the first thing that you would ask yourself probably would be, what is business? What is a business model? What does it mean? Now, in my dealings with a lot of entrepreneurs and businessmen and colleagues in the nursing profession, whenever we come up with a proposed business, the first thing that your listeners would ask you would be, paano ka kikita dyan? So how will your business make money? The answer to that question is your definition of your business model. So in essence, when we talk about business model, okay, it is how your business would earn money. So our objectives for this session would be, at the end of the session, the learner shall define what a business model is, identify at least 3 types of specific business models, and discuss the 4 general types of business models that are applicable in an e-learning business environment, as well as in real life, face-to-face market. Okay, so let's begin. So as I've been telling you a while back, the answer to the question that is posed by friends, acquaintances, investors, okay, or friends in business clubs would be your definition of your business model. So in essence, a business model is an outline of how a company will earn a revenue. Now, there's no specific business model that's appropriate for all types of businesses. In other words, it's not something that's standard. You can always innovate and create and improve on existing business models. So there's an endless list when it comes to the types of business models that we have. But what is important is you have to be able to address the key points that you need to address when you decide to come up with a business model, okay? So a business model should therefore answer the following questions, okay? 1, what product or service will the company sell? What are you selling? I remember when my sister was asked, what is her company all about? And she answered her guru by saying, this is in a business school, I'm selling dreams. Okay. How can you sell dreams? Okay. Because during that time, there were a lot of nurses who would want to venture into a career in the US. And that's what she's selling, okay? Facilitating the entry of nurses to the US. So in essence, you're saying, what is your company selling? We're selling dreams, okay? But making sure that the dreams that we sell should turn into reality. And then how will it market the product or services? So how will your company market it? Will you go tri-media, which was the fad back then? You'll have ads on the TV, the radio, the newspapers. It's a whole lot different ball game now when we talk of social media. And what is important right now is when you are going to market your product or service, you have to consider 3 things. Una, okay, kamalayan. So which means you have to be present in the consciousness of your target customers. So the first thing that you have to do therefore is to target the mind. Make them aware that you exist. And after that, kamalayan, sunod ang puso. Target the mind and then target the heart. How could you make your product target the heart. Some would do this by putting on a little corporate social responsibility on what they do. Like, for example, the advertisement of Nescafe. Now, for every cup of coffee you drink, okay, it means a return of investment for the coffee farmers. Okay, so that's an advocacy anchored marketing. Okay, so first, the mind, make them aware that you exist. Second, the heart. And the third, of course, you cannot run a business without money. So you also need to target a wallet. But the wallet of your customers to be should be the last of your target. Hindi pwede na nagnegosyo ka, tinarget mo kagad yung wallet ng customers mo. So what we want to do now is to first make your customers become aware that you exist, then win their hearts. And when you are able to win their mind and their heart, then they would voluntarily spend for your product. Of course, that doesn't occur overnight. Sabi nga, hindi pwedeng sumarap ang produkto overnight. Maraming pagdadaanan niyang quality control. Rome wasn't made in a day. Okay. The third question is, what kind of expenses will it incur? Definitely, when you're running a business, you are incurring expenses every day. So if your business is not bringing in revenues on a daily basis, the next question that you would ask yourself is, how would you be able to cope with the expenses? Okay, and that's a very important question that you need to address. And then, last but not the least, if you would notice, this is last on our list. And what is it? How will your business make the profit? So in essence, when you create a business, okay, it's very, very important that you think of profit, not first, but as your reward for doing a great job. If you keep on doing what you are doing, eventually the universe will reward you 1,000 folds in a manner that you did not imagine it to be. I used to ask my mom, sabi ko sa nanay ko, Ma, iniisip mo ba na darating yung panahon na magiging ganito? Okay? Yung ating mga negosyong maliliit nating inumpisahan. And my mother would say, ang gusto ko lang noon, anak, makapag-aral kayo. But you see, when you do things consistently and the quality is there, there's no stopping you. But for me, as a young entrepreneur, I started so young. I was 6 years old when I started being an entrepreneur. I know how to exit. You have to know when to say, I'm okay, I'm contented, enough is enough. I'll give chance to the others to make their own niche in this world. And I won't stop new entrepreneurs from making it big and becoming successful, just like the way I did. That's the essence of entrepreneurship. Okay? So now let's have an example to concretize what we've talked about. So for example, several years back, okay, I mentored a friend to open a paasa load business. Okay, so what product or service will the company sell? It's mobile phone load. Sir, kamusta na ngayon mobile phone load? Sa awa ng Diyos, wala na siya. At nawala na rin ang mga mobile phones niya. Why? Because he wasn't hands-on. So, iniwan sa kanilang coffee shop, in-endorse sa kapatid who is manning the coffee shop, and the kapatid endorsed it to the cashier, and then the cashier did not bother to check on it. So what happened was, everything got lost, including the phones. Because they're allowing, they have a mini phone station on a coffee shop. So, again, one great lesson that my mom told me is, kung magninegosyo ka, dapat ikaw mismo alam mo yung negosyo mo. Hands-on ka dapat sa pag-umpisa. It cannot be the first time pa lang, dinelegate mo na lahat. So eventually, your staff would know more than you do, and that doesn't make sense. When you start an enterprise, it should be you who should be considered as your business consultant. You have to be the expert of what you are doing. Okay? So how will the company market the product or service? So what they did before is just post on social media that they have a paasa load, and then friends from Facebook would usually, sige, pa-load nga ako, and then they have word of mouth. Initially, it did well. And then what kind of expenses will it incur? Now, this is where the problem is. Because the cost of mobile unit and the initial load, it was obtained through a loan. So what happened was, when they saw that there are a lot of income, they never thought about saving for the payment of the loan. So what happened was it gained interest. Then eventually, they lost the mobile phone, they lost the load, they lost the business. So you have to be financially literate when you open your business. And then, how did it make a profit? Of course, the profit was through the customer request for load. Okay, so when you are able to address all of these 4 questions, then you have what we term as your business model. Okay, so now let me talk about the 10 key terms that you need to remember when you are aspiring to come up with your own business models. The first one is your value proposition. What makes your product attractive to customers? So what makes it unique? And why should your customers patronize it? Several years ago, when I was younger, I was too keen on starting a yaya training program or a kasambahay training program. It all started when nahulog ng yaya, okay, ng kapatid ko, yung pamangkin ko. Buti na lang hindi naman mataas at carpeted naman, no? And sabi niya, ihanap mo nga ako ng yaya, dapat yung high school graduate. And I said, ate, they don't teach how to be a yaya even to high school or college graduates. And then I had a bright idea that came out of my mind. Ano kaya, gumawa kaya ako ng yaya training program. I was then a young nurse, okay? So, pwede mong gawin yon. Kasi pagka-graduate mo, may knowledge ka ng pediatrics, procedures, fundamentals in nursing, maternity nursing, may knowledge ka ng care of the elderly. So, pwede kang gumawa ng module mo and then do it first in your subdivision. Probably it could be free, and then you have a more premium program. So, it's called freemium. From free to premium. Okay? So at least there's something unique in that business. Bakit? Aba, educated yung nagtuturo. Okay? At dapat ang ituro mo, yung mababaon kagad ng mga yaya. Like for example, how to take vital signs. Aba, pag uwi niyan, marunong kagad yung mag-take ng BP. And then mai-impress ngayon ang iyong mga sponsor ng iyong clients. And eventually, they'll send their yaya to you so you can educate them. Okay? And then, target market, the specific group of customers who are interested in your product. So, if you are in a very young subdivision with very young families, maganda maglagay yung yaya training program. Pero kung retirement naman yung village nyo, come up with something else. Competitive advantage. What's the unique feature of your product that cannot be easily copied by competitors? That should be you. Because you are a nurse and therefore you have the passion to do this. That in itself would set you apart. Then cost structure, fixed and variable expenses, and how will it affect your pricing? Well, the good thing about creating a business out of your skills is that initially you can offer the price at a lower cost. And then you have to have your metrics. How will you measure your company success? On a monthly basis, ilang percentage dapat tumataas yung participants mo dun sa iyong yaya training program. Okay? 6, the resources, meaning physical. Do you need a hall? Financial? Do you need puhunan? And intellectual assets of your company? That's going to be you. And then problem and solution, your target customers' pain points and how you will address it. Like for example, what happened to my sister? Nahulog ng yaya yung pamangkin ko. Okay, so that's a pain point. Therefore, how will you solve it? So come up with a training program. And then the revenue model. So this would actually be the framework that identifies viable income sources to pursue. Like for example, initially yung training lang muna, then you can come up with your yaya emergency kit. Okay? Lahat ng mga kailangan ng yaya doon, may thiolate or something. Then you sell it to them. Then you come up with your yaya emergency manual. Lahat ng mga common na accidents nangyayari sa bahay and the first aid treatment, you can come up with a manual like that. Okay? And then this would also form your revenue streams, which means the multiple ways that the company can generate income from. So which means meron ka ng income from the training, meron ka ng income from the yaya kit, meron ka ng income from the yaya manual. And then identify your profit margin, the amount your revenue exceeds your cost. So if you initially spent like 10,000 pesos and then the total gross income was 25,000, so meron kang kinitang 15,000, then iless mo dyan yung tax mo. Okay? Which is approximately, kung single proprietorship yan, sige, compute mo at approximately 30 kasi minsan 30 to 35% yan eh. Okay? O bumababa yan ng 25 to 25% pag naging corporate na yung setup mo. So, approximately, itabi mo yon because come taxation day, you will need to file your income tax. Now, what is the essence of knowing all of these terms when you want to create your business model? Because, okay, we'll use it to supply the data needed by your the business model canvas, which was developed by Osterwalder and Tenure. Okay, so this could be your preliminary draft for your business plan. So identify key partners, key activities, key resources, the value proposition, what makes your product or service unique should be at the center of your business model canvas, and then customer relationships, channels, customer segments, cost structure, and revenue stream. So if you want to have a thorough reading on this, this is the link to where you can find how to create your business model canvas. Okay, so let's move on. There are 12 common specific types of business models that I'm going to present to you, and we will use yung mga examples na nakikita mo lang sa paligid mo para hindi masyadong mahirap. Remember, we are supposed to be first and foremost nurses, okay, with entrepreneurial mind. Kailangan mo lang to para may idea ka how to create or come up with your own business model. First, business model 1 is a subscription model. Well, this is what is in nowadays. It requires recurring payment. Obviously, yung Netflix ganyan, new generation. In our generation, Reader's Digest. You would usually subscribe to Reader's Digest and it gets delivered right to your doorstep. Okay, now, the advantage of this is that once you get a customer, all you have to do is to charge, and charge. But you also need to maintain quality. Otherwise, always remember, one of the things that I told you about when it comes to business, nothing is so good that lasts eternally. Perfect situations must go wrong. So nothing is permanent in business. Something good or better would pop out of the movie goer's screen anytime. Okay, so what is important is you have to be agile when it comes to marketing your product. However, what is difficult with a subscription model now that entails cloud-based storage of data, that is very expensive. So you have to know how much your cloud storage data would cost, and from there you have to create or identify how many of your target market should sign up for the subscription so you can pay the data storage. It cannot be that you create something, you store it in cloud, and then hope that people would come. Remember, nobody would come. Okay, nobody would come. You have to be a little, not pessimistic, but you have to be a little conservative. Do not over fantasize. Okay, so sometimes excitement kills the dream. Okay, so business model number 2 would be bundling model. So you're selling 2 to 3 products together as a unit. For example, Globe. They could bundle Globe Postpaid plus Globe Home Internet. Okay, make sure when you're bundling products or services, dapat complementary. Hindi yung binandle mo nga magkalaban naman, iisa naman ang gamit. Okay? Now, nowadays, this doesn't work anymore. I used to have a platinum account in Globe that was my number since 1998. Okay? And when the pandemic came and I have upgraded our Globe Home Internet to 100 Mbps, okay? Which simply means hindi ko na kailangan ng phone service because I can call through Viber, I can call through Facebook Messenger. So why would I need to pay Globe that much every month to maintain my platinum service, where in fact I'm not using phone service anymore? So I have to call my relationship manager. That's a good thing when you are given a platinum account. You have your own relationship manager. And I told her that I would be giving up my platinum account half after what, 23 long years. And she said, sir, sayang naman, because but you know, I said, I'm not traveling that much at this point in time, and I don't think um, I would still be able to use the service. Okay, because I'm just here at home. And she says, okay, sir, but we can give you a discount, 1/3 of the cost. But I said, no. So I'm giving up my platinum account. Just bring me to the lowest level so I can maintain my relationship with Globe. And so that's what happened. Okay, so those are the things that you have to consider when you are doing bundling model. Like, for example, if you're going to do bundling model in the Yaya training program, you can have bundle 1, training only, bundle 2, training plus the Yaya kit, bundle 3, training plus the Yaya kit plus the Yaya manual. Okay, so you can do that too. Next, business model number 3. This is what I'm talking about early on, freemium model. Company hosts or provides a tool such as an app for customers to freely access. And then after a while, a premium access package is offered, like in YouTube. Okay, when you don't want to be interrupted with advertisements, then you can pay for a premium YouTube account. Okay, same is true for your LinkedIn account, for your resume. If you're advertising yourself worldwide, you also need to subscribe to a free premium account. So freemium model means from free to premium. Okay. And then business model number 4 would be your razor blade model. Why it's called razor blade? If you would notice, class, when you buy razor blades, if you buy one set, you would notice that when you buy the refill becomes more expensive than the entire razor blade that you use for shaving. Okay, why is that so? Because that's how they design it to be. Okay, so this occurs when a company offers a cheaper main product but whose replaceable accessories are more expensive. Now, this is one thing you can consider when you're buying your first car. Okay, you are torn between Toyota and Nissan. During those times, okay, I would say, mas mura kasi yung down payment ng Nissan. So I got my first car, it's Nissan. And lo and behold, nung after 2 years, kailangan mo nang i-replace yung iba accessories, mas mahal na siya. Mas mataas ang down payment ng Toyota, pero pagdating sa pyesa, maraming mura. So in the long run, mas marami ka ng gastos dun sa Nissan kesa sa Toyota. So that's also another form of business model. Okay, business model number 5, your product to service model. So a company sells the output rather than the equipment that creates the output. For example, here's a company that sells prefabricated grill fences. So yung ikakabit na lang nila, i-welding na. Okay, so may kanya-kanya na siyang measurement. Rather than them selling the welding machine and the iron as materials. So that's your product to service model. Okay, now business model number 6 would be the leasing model. So a company purchases a product to be leased to customers, like rent a car business. Okay, so meron nag-iisip dati, rent a kabaong business. But who would want to rent a kabaong? But you know, in some depressed areas, that's what they do. Kasi di ba, hindi na nila linilibing yung kabaong, nililibing na lang yung body ng patay. And then, yung kabaong na maganda ay nirentahan na lang pala sa punerarya kasi mahal na masyado pag binili mo pa nga naman yung kabaong. Okay? How morbid. Okay? So, some of those craziest ideas that could pop out of our minds could actually be turned into profitable business ventures. Okay, so business model number 7 is crowdsourcing. This is now what happens if you're finding a group of experts. This is when you use social media and the internet to access various talents or human resources. For example, you need a band player. Okay, and you can crowdsource. Now, what is difficult with this is that if you are not careful and you are also a middleman and you are referring these people, you better make sure you do a background check, because whatever things they will have will be reflected on you as the agent. So pag naging ahente ka ng mga ganitong talent, eventually mukha mo yung nakalabas dyan na ikaw yung nagre-refer. Pag pumalpak yan, it could work against you. Okay, so that's a crowdsourcing business model. Business model number 8, 1-for-1 model. Now here, a company donates one item to charity for every item purchased. Now, hindi naman ito ibig sabihin na strictly, no, one item to charity for every item purchased. Pwede rin naman yung parang advertisement ng Nescafe, a brand of coffee, in which ang sinasabi nga, sa bawat iniinom mo ang isang baso ng kape, ay bumabalik yung isang butil sa mga farmers. So yung mga ganong klase ng model, ang tawag doon one-for-one model. So this is a form of social entrepreneurship, which means mission-based yung pag-i-introduce nyo ng produkto sa merkado. For example, meron din gumawa nito na brand ng bottled water na for every bottled water that you've purchased ay iniipon nila yung plastic to create one chair, okay, that will be used by elementary students eventually. So yung mga ganito na type ng business, ang tawag doon one-for-one model. Okay? Business model number 9 would be your franchise model, wherein established business blueprint that is purchased by aspiring business owners. Like for example, Jollibee or Mang Inasal. So nag-franchise ka, ibig sabihin, binili mo na yung business name, okay? Meron ka ng manual, okay? Meron ka ng source ng manpower, meron ka ng source ng support. Once again, the disadvantage of this is that it's a little expensive. Kunwari, okay, there was a friend before na sabi niya, Ray, parang gusto kong mag-franchise ng Mang Inasal. And I said, okay, magkano ba yung franchise fee? Sabi, 700,000 daw eh. Okay, pero para ka maging exclusive na sa'yo, ikaw lang ang Mang Inasal dun sa area, how many stores should you open? And then he said, 3 daw. Okay, so 3 times 700,000, that's 2.1 million. Okay. And then ano yung investment mo in terms of yung kitchen, in terms yung building, in terms, 7 million daw ang isa, o 3, that's 21 million. Plus 2.1 million, that's 23 million. And then I asked him, magkano ba ang bawat Mang Inasal meal? Okay. Sabi niya, mga 100 pesos. Okay, so dun sa 100 pesos, magkano ang 1/3 nun pupunta dun sa tax mo, 1/3 nun pupunta sa operational expenses mo, 1/3 nun pupunta dun sa ingredients mo. So in other words, dun sa 100, natira na lang sa'yo, kasi kung tigta 30 pesos yung tatlo, 10 piso. Okay. Ilang tao ang dapat kumain para mo mabawi yung 23 million initial investment mo? Nagkamot siya ng ulo. Okay? So, walang ready-made sa mundo. Everything comes at its proper place and time. So, I'm not saying na huwag ka mag-venture sa franchise model, pero kung masyadong malaki yung investment, I'd rather that you create your own. Okay? Now, business model number 10 is the distribution model. A company acts as a distributor to a group of agents. Okay? For example, okay, online resellers. So, meron kang isang malaking company and then meron kang mga agents, the online resellers that sells your product. That's a distribution model. Business model number 11 would be the manufacturer model. O parang panaderia yan. A company converts raw materials into product. Bibili ng harina, bibili ng margarine, bibili ng yeast, bibili ng milk, bibili ng salt, paghahaluin, gagawin ng tinapay, and then presto, may produkto na. Okay. Ganyan din naman nangyayari sa atin, di ba? Doon sa raw materials ng computer, sabi nila, nanggagaling yon dito sa Pilipinas. Kaya lang, sobrang mura natin binibenta ang raw materials na pag nayari na yung final product, kulang pa yung pinagbentahan natin ng raw materials para bumili ng laptop. See? Okay, that's the reality. Okay? So, anyway, and business model number 12 would be the retailer model. Ito na yung sari-sari store model. A company buys goods from distributors and sells it directly to customers. Ito yung halos, okay? Micro to small and medium enterprise meron tayo, no? 99% nung ating business establishment sa Pilipinas, halos ganito yung business model na ginagamit. Okay, so what is the right business model for you? There's no absolute correct answer for this question. What matters the most is create something that is unique to your market, that you know something of, and that you think will meet the pains of your customers. Okay? So, at the end of the day, ask yourself these questions. How will my product or service benefit the customers? How will I generate revenue? Who's my target customers? What startup cost I'm looking at? what expenses will be fixed or variable cost. Fixed meaning to say, nagre-recur yan every month. Like for example, rental. Okay, variable cost would mean yung ginagastos mo na nagbabago-bago ang presyo on a monthly basis. Okay? And then ask yourself, do I need support from investors? Okay? And then are your investors more likely to give you what you need? Mahirap yan tignan because as I've been telling you in our previous videos, ang gustong mga returns na yan ay times 4 yung kanilang investment, times 4.5. Kung yung 1 million, dapat in 5 years, naging 4.5 million yon. Okay? So, and more often than not, if the presentation is too good to be true, they don't just agree. Okay? So, if you want, okay, to check out a thorough discussion on this topic that could add up to what I've shown you today, check this out. So this is actually the link to OpenTax.org, books on entrepreneurship and focus on designing the business model concept. Okay, now the 12 specific business models could actually be narrowed down to 4 general types. And these are usually the business models that are being used for e-business. Okay, so the first one is the B2C model, meaning business to consumer model. This is the traditional retail business. I mean, the company sells products directly to the consumer, like in your sari-sari store. Okay. Then you also have the B2B model, business to business. So 2 companies doing business with each other, company sells to another company. It's more stable if your target company is stable. Like for example, if your Yaya training program, you want it to be stable, na hindi ka na isa-isang nagtatawag ng mga participants mo. Okay, you come up with a memorandum of agreement for homeowners association. So for every session, ilang percent ng income mo ang ibibigay mo dun sa homeowners, okay, as part of their commission for you doing the business in their community. Okay? So pag meron kang mga 2, 3, 4, din naging 5 homeowners, nagro-rotate ka na lang on a weekly basis. So stable na yung market mo. Hindi ka na namimingwit ng paisa-isa. Okay? Okay, so next important thing, C2C model, consumer to consumer. Now, this involves transactions between 2 consumers. The consumers are the buyers and at the same time the sellers, and they use a third-party online marketplace for trading. The advantage of this model is that it has low transaction cost. Example would be FB Marketplace. Now, I'm very, very fond of FB Marketplace because one of my advocacies during the pandemic, when it hit the country, was that ano ba ang pwede kong itulong? Sabi nga, as an entrepreneur, you teach the person how to fish. Don't just give the fish. So napunta ako, hindi ako bumibili sa mga malalaking online shopping platforms. Doon ako bumibili, doon sa nakikita ko yung ordinaryong tao, anong tinitinda, mga halaman nila, yellow bells, mga kakading na ginagawa nila, okay? Minsan na nakakatuwa lang sa FB Marketplace, biglang sasabihin, sir, wala kasi po akong app ng Lalamove eh. So pwede ba ipakuha mo na lang yung ino-order mo? Bigla akong napapaisip. Eh di mas lalong na mahal kasi magkano gasolina ng driver papunta doon. Kaya madali lang naman mag-download ng app. So sana yung pupunta sa FB Marketplace, you make it easy for your customers to buy from you. Okay? Minsan naman, maglalagay ng advertisement. Tapos, order now. Pag nag-order ka na, bigla mong tatanungin, kailan yung availability? Sasabihin, sir, next month pa po. Bakit ka naglalagay na ngayon ng i-order? Okay? So I think these people need a lot of education in terms of professionalizing the delivery of products and services. Pero sabi ko nga, advocacy ko yan. So every week, bumibili ako sa mga maliliit na nagtitinda doon. Minsan, fertilizer, okay? Legit naman, may effect naman, lumago naman yung bulaklak tsaka dahon ng mga halaman sa garden. So, ina-advertise ko na rin. That's my own little way of teaching them, okay, or advertising and marketing from them. Minsan nga, biglang magsasabi, meron akong binili na plant rock, and then nagustuhan ng mga friends ko dito sa Alabang, and then nag-order din sila. And then sabi nung nagsusupply, sir, Maraming salamat po. Pagpalain po kayo ng Diyos yung mga kaibigan nyo sa Facebook. Nag-order po sa amin kasi tinanong po namin sa nila nakita. Sabi nila, pinaskill mo daw sa Facebook mo. So those are the little things that I know I can do while I'm still at home during the pandemic that would help these little people who are really doing their best to make both ends meet. Okay? So that's one example of your consumer-to-consumer business model. So dalawang consumers, sila rin ang nag-engage in a business. And then C2B model or consumer to business. Freelancers offer business model to a business to a company. Example nito would be the social media influencers. Eventually, pag dumami yung followers, parang si Tony Gonzaga, okay, or Alex Gonzaga, nag-o-offer na sila ng specific time where some companies could insert their advertisement, or sometimes they have their videos sponsored by specific companies. Okay? But once again, sabi ko nga, the danger of putting yourself open to the public is that your life would become like an aquarium. I've been there, I've done that. And sometimes there are times in your life that you just don't feel like doing it anymore. And that's the time that you have to step back and say to yourself, reflect on what you've done, on what you've achieved. If it's already enough for you to last a lifetime, then that's a time for you to exit. Okay? Next. Okay? So with that, I just hope I was able to give you an idea of how to identify the right business model for you. But in a nutshell, when you are identifying a business model, you have to decide whether you are coming up with a market-driven business, meaning it's based on what the market needs and what is demanded by the market, or is it based on is it a technology-driven business, which means yung expertise mo inilalagay mo na sa merkado. Now, kung tatanungin mo ko, you always base your choice of business model on what your market needs. So it has to be market-driven. So kung yung expertise mo hindi kailangan ng merkado, so gumawa ka ng paraan para maging accessory yung iyong expertise into another business that you can put up that is based on what the market demands. Okay? So, example nun, kunwari, hindi naman in ngayon ang pagiging, kunwari lang, accountant. Okay? So wala kang mai-offer kasi ang daming business na nagsara. O di mag-create ka ng isang negosyo na nakabundle lang yung accounting services mo para pag yun ang kinuha ng market, like for example, gumawa ka ng app, okay, na para sa mga nagmo-monitor ng sales nila, and then ikaw na rin ang consultant noon. So pag binili nila yung app mo, nag-subscribe sila sa app mo, kasama na yung skill mo as an accountant, being a consultant for your subscribers. Okay? That's the way to do it. Okay, so thank you so much for engaging with me today, and we're going to have more of this in our next set of video.